In 1576, Heinrich and Katharina, with their 4-year-old son Johannes and 2-year-old Heinrich, left the turbulent house in Weil to go live in Leonberg, some 15 kilometers away. A fresh start for Johannes, away from the turbulent household in Weil and into the town of Leonberg, close to Stuttgart and part of the Lutheran Duchy of Württemberg. And there it is. The house is still there. The ground floor is a shop. Yes, Schönes für Frauen, aber auch Schönes für Kepler-Fans. The move to Leonberg was a blessing for our Johannes, because the Dukes of Württemberg took education seriously and founded alternatives for the Catholic monasteries. And Leonberg had a Lateinschule, Latin school, for the education of a new clergy. Reportedly, his parents first sent him to German school, where his teachers soon recognized his talent and pushed to send him to Latin school, where he entered in 1579 at the age of 7. Latin school should have taken him 3 years to finish, but it took him 5. Not at the lack of talent or ambition, but at the lack of stability at home. In 1580, Father Heinrich had made some substantial financial losses and had to sell the house and rent an inn, Gasthaus zur Sonne, in Elmendingen, 40 kilometers from Leonberg. Johannes was forced to contribute by strenuous hard labor. Imagine a frail, smallpox-affected child enduring such hardship. It must have been a horrible time for him. But somehow the family managed to recover, and in 1583 they moved back to Leonberg. It is unknown where to, could be any of these houses. And it allowed Johannes to take up Latin school again. And it was called Latin school for a reason. Books and lessons were in Latin, just as in subsequent education. And this formed the foundation of Kepler's fluency in Latin. It enabled him to easily communicate with people like Tycho Brahe from Denmark and Galileo Galilei from Italy. Our Johannes could finally finish Latin school. Over here, in fact, right behind me. Believe it or not, but this is the classroom where Johannes Kepler got his lessons in the Lateinschule of Leonberg. In May 1583, he passed the important and very competitive Landesexamen in Stuttgart that gave him access to the convent school of Adelberg. In these times, there were 2 other events that Kepler later described as making a profound impression on him. In 1577, his mother took him out to a high point to watch a comet, the famous Great Comet of 1577. Maybe here. It's certainly ein hohes Punkt, and they were looking over Leonberg to look at the comet of 1577. 800 kilometers north in Denmark, the nobleman Tycho Brahe, then 30 years old, was looking too. And 400 kilometers south, the 13-year-old Galileo Galilei watched the same comet. Unaware that here in Leonberg, a young boy at the hand of his mother was watching too, and would later prominently cross their paths. The boy, in turn, was unaware of that he would have to defend the woman that was holding his hand later in a witch trial. 3 years later, in 1580, his father took him to watch a lunar eclipse. Later in his life, Johannes would give a perfect explanation for the reddish color of the eclipsed moon. One last word about his father Heinrich. In 1588 he abandoned his family again to fight some war, probably in Italy. And this time never to return again. Johannes Kepler had survived the difficult kick-off of his life and was ready to enter the world. Boys, it's the 16th century, it was more than science that needed to make progress. Boys like Johannes, bright mind but weak health and poor financial backing, were destined for a role in the clergy. A relatively smooth and secure path. And that is indeed what the pious Johannes Kepler had in mind when he traveled to Heidelberg. How different would it go? Stay tuned.